You're listening to Two Chunks and a Hunk. Movie musings for mostly everyone. Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I'm your chunk.
I'm Doge, and you're not leaving, are you, Jake? Knowing I'm out there, knowing that I'll never stop, I'm coming for you. And when I do, I'll hunk your whole family.
Dang. I didn't know Woody Harrelson's cousin was in this movie.
I know. I can't do it
so
without
hard
being
not
a little
to.
Woody.
I'm glad you took that because I was afraid that was going to happen to me, but you did well. I'm Carter, and
No, hang on. If it's you do it, then you do the same quote and do a Stephen Lang off, and we'll see whose Lang is the best Lang.
oh no, mine's gonna become like Barbosa.
You better start believing in Avatar sequels, Sam
You're not
Worthington.
leaving, are you, Jake? Knowing I'm out there, knowing I'll never stop. I'm coming for you, and when I do, I'll hunk your whole family. Chunk. I'm the chunk, though. You're the hunk. My real quote was gonna be, I know one thing. Wherever we go, this family is our chunktress. Chunktress or four chunk? Ooh, no, chunktress is better. I don't like.
I don't know.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it a little
Let's talk
bit.
about for a long time why you think that's better.
No, thank you.
Chunk. Oh, no. Well, there it is. Those are some quotes. Doge, why are you
guys
the
want
hunk,
to?
buddy?
I thought you would never ask, but it's okay. I mean, I thought you never asked, but I'm used to waiting a long time for things that I like. Once every 13 years, the Earth completes its orbit around, Pandora, and we get a sequel to Avatar. And it's finally here. I really loved the first one, and I was really excited for this one, and Carter told me that's why I'm the hunk. So here we are.
I told you because I'm right about it.
That's a good point. And I honestly hadn't considered that until right now.
I thought I had a fun end to that joke, but I thought it was going to turn to Barbosa again, guys. I can't fight it.
Man, the Barbosa draw is powerful.
It's powerful.
That's what happens when we podcast for too many consecutive weeks. You start to slip into pirate, and the allure of the pirate side becomes too strong to resist. I'm glad that this is the last episode of the year, and we get a little break before we accidentally pirate ourselves. Yeah.
Pirate a little bit.
We named the monkey Jake.
We named the monkey.
Well, I'm sure we bleeped the title of this movie because it's such an important thing to keep it a mystery, and it's
actually
definitely not the name of the episode.
Yeah,
If we did,
look at the name of the episode, guys.
If we did bleep it, that's really funny because it sounds like we named the monkey a super duper long expletive.
I kind of hope we kept it.
We did, of course. We are talking about a movie today. Decided to mix things up and discuss a movie. And that movie is known as Avatar, The Way of Water.
There's not a 2 in there. That's my bad.
It's okay. It's okay. Doge, will you give us a synopsis of this movie, please?
This week's IMDb synopsis has no author, which of course means that it somehow sprung from the womb of Grace's dead avatar.
Gross.
Well, that's what happens in the movie. If you'd watch it, you'd know. Jake Sully lives with
watch
his...
it?
Yeah, no, we went to go see it. Did you go see it?
Oh my gosh, guys. I did not understand what this was. I am so sorry.
Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Neytiri and the army of the Na'vi race to protect their home.
That about sums it up.
That sure do about sums it up. And listen, James Cameron, that was what, 25 seconds? It took you 3 hours.
Yeah.
309.
309. Woof, giddy up.
So let's talk about the length for just a second, if that's okay with everyone.
Yes.
There comes a point. Look, okay, let me back up. I think James Cameron is probably a genius, like an actual genius. I think that he might be one of the most like tenacious directors out there.
Yeah.
It just seems like James Cameron is so capable of having an idea and a vision, and it just is going to happen because he decided that it was going to happen. And I think
sheer force of will.
Yes, I think that's incredibly impressive. Obviously, his track record speaks for itself, and most movies he makes are a good time. And he is sort of in that same, to me, Spielberg category of like, do I think that most of the time James Cameron is going to make real Oscar bait like film? No, because what he specializes in, much like Spielberg, is the blockbuster, the sparkle, shine, in your face blockbuster. And that is where he lives and should live forever. You know what I mean?
He did, Titanic didn't help him try and still go for that stuff because it was still tied for the most illustrious.
Yeah.
But there's all the technical specs really too,
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying that his movies aren't capable of that, but it just seems like what he's setting out to do is these blockbusters, and I'm glad he is, because I'm glad somebody is making just blockbusters.
Like a non-superhero blockbuster.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm very, very glad about that.
Yeah.
Hey, James, we can go ahead and trim 30 to 45 minutes off of every movie you've ever made.
I think the thing with Avatar 2 in particular,
Avatar: The Way of Water.
Avatar: The Way of Water. Sorry. There was reportedly another script called Avatar 2 that he wrote 6 or 7 years ago that he threw away and then did this one instead. Also, Sam Worthington has said that James Cameron handed him a movie script. Like, here's Jake's backstory. We're never going to make this movie, but it's just important for you to know. So Jimmy Cam loves this world that he's created, which is good. It's cool. It's, that remains, I think, the standout thing about these movies is the world of Pandora.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But something about this movie, it feels like it was in the oven for 6 hours at 100 degrees.
Right.
Where somehow you pull it out and it's still not cooked all the way through.
Sure.
This movie was simultaneously, from a butt perspective, far too long. And from a brain perspective, far too short, because far too much nothing happens pacing-wise.
Yeah. No,
which is fine.
There are large portions of this movie that are just, and that's fine, but they're just dedicated to like, watch this.
Yeah.
Hey, watch this.
Well, and I think that's why this movie exists. I think he was like,
I agree.
Oh, I've got ocean ideas and I want to make my own ocean. I could do that for an Avatar sequel. We'll do an Avatar sequel about it.
James Cameron has ocean ideas?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
That's insane. I had no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling to decide if I really think it's a knock against the movie itself or if it was just a downside for me that it is so long, because I have this thing where if somebody releases like an album and it seems like it's really common recently to release an album that's like 23 songs and 14 of those songs are like 1 minute interludes that are just sort of
like a voice memo from their phone.
Yeah, I'm even okay with that. I'm talking about when it's like a bunch of like droney pad synths and just somebody like,
Yeah.
and it's just like, how self-indulgent and stupid are you? Make a good album and walk away. Nobody, even your biggest fans that are going to tell you that was amazing likes that. There's nobody that likes that. And it's just it's just like, make a good album instead. Put yourself together a 12-song, 48-minute solid album, and then I'll be impressed. And to me, this movie is the movie equivalent of 14 B-side, 1 minute self-indulgent tracks. And the bummer is the other 11 songs are great.
Yeah.
Great
I think
songs.
James Cameron, like if we're going to his Avatar concert,
Sure.
it's the part that's like, why are we doing this with the extra B-side things is when also that he knows that the audience isn't clamoring for that at the concert.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
No one wants to do the, like together, like everybody's like chanting like, oh, like just going over and over again. It's like, no, we don't want that.
Right.
We want to see the Talokan, please.
Yes.
Keep fighting. Like, let's fight. So my super pump is the last 1/4 of this movie.
Yeah.
Because this was like...
You talking about like the water fight on the whaling boat?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
The whaling boat, the water fight.
Specifically starting about there, essentially, at the assault to the end.
At the moment that the water tribe knows they've got our kids.
Okay, that's my super pump as well then, Carter. I was just making sure.
And they say, round the troops.
Yeah.
You know?
That is
and
when
then
this becomes 4 different ideas that have finally gelled together and something awesome is happening. Like something awesome is happening. And every moment of that last quarter of this movie is a thrill ride.
It's freaking, and it's gorgeous, dude. It's so pretty.
Sam Worthington is so lucky because he gets to be Jake Sully and deliver 2 of the coolest movie lines ever to the same bad guy 13 years apart.
Yeah, that's...
In movie one, they show it in the movie, I think, that is when he says like, I was hoping you'd say that or something like that.
Because Quaritch is like, you're going to have to kill me.
Yeah. I was hoping
you'd say that.
They topped it in this movie. To me, I got full body chills in the scene.
When he's like, you're not leaving, are you, Jake? Knowing I'm out there going to kill your family?
And then he's just, let's do it then. And then jumps at him.
Right at him, dude. That's so cool.
That moment. And I mean, it feels silly. We've never reviewed Avatar 1, so we're going to rehash some old ground here, I assume. But like, obviously the Na'vi are some of the sickest looking alien designs in any movie. They're so tall, lanky, and powerful. Are they inspired by cats? Do you know?
They've got cat-like.
Cameron says no. My eyeballs say yes.
Yeah, eyeballs say yeah, for sure. Eyeball read cat. But just the way that they like jump and navigate their world when they're fighting.
Particularly Neytiri at the very end, whenever she's just in like a complete rage. It's so
full mama warrior rage, dude. And people are afraid of her. She is the alpha. I love that.
Yeah, I like that Spider's afraid of her, hiding behind that piece of shit.
And that's such a Cameron thing. And his representatives are all here together.
Yeah.
Sigourney is in this movie. Kate Winslet is in this movie. It's like heroines are really the highlight.
Did you guys know that was
film.
Kate Winslet the whole time?
Not till the end.
I didn't either, dude.
Wild.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Yeah, but do we know? So okay, I guess my question is: was Zoe Saldana busy?
Zoe Saldana got done so dirty by this script. Guess what? I saw this movie last night, seen it one time, and I have all of Neytiri's lines memorized.
Right? Yeah, dude,
because
she's
Neytiri
like
had
not in
nothing
this movie at all.
And it was actually like bordering on problematic for me because Neytiri's only role in this movie is to kind of nag on Jake Sully about why did you make us leave the forest? Why did you make us leave the forest? And then her son dies, and Jake's like, hey, I need you to be strong with me. And it's like, hey, dude, you haven't earned that. She's not going to be strong with you. You dragged her away from her home and never told her, I understand that this is hard for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I think the characters themselves are, the Sully family is very cool in it. I like each individual character a ton.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I think their character actions and their character interactions are one of the parts of this movie that feels like that was incredibly underbaked. I think that we left so much meat on the bone with character interactions. Like I think that Nateyam, the oldest son, we noticed.
We're not getting any more.
No, we're not getting any more.
Yeah, right.
But like I think like we could have 100% expanded on the dynamic between him, his younger brother Loak, and their dad Jake. Because
I actually don't think we needed an older brother in this movie.
That's what James thought too.
Yeah, James said we don't.
Cameron thought the same thing.
5. But like Nateyam looks way more Na'vi than any of the other kids because Nateyam inherited Neytiri's 4-fingered hand and no eyebrows. He doesn't look like an alien, and so like I don't know why we didn't lean into that of Jake favoring him more of like this is my chance to fully leave behind my human ancestry, and that's why he's a little harder on Loak because he looks more human. He looks like our characters are incredibly one note, I think, with the exception of Loak. I really liked Loak, and I think I could like Kiri by Avatar 4. I liked Kiri. I thought Kiri was very interesting, and I think the setup of who's her dad is very fun. She has no dad. She's Pandora Jesus, obviously.
You think so?
Because Grace's spirit, they took her human body to the base of the spirit tree.
She's Anakin, I guess you're saying?
Yeah, well, sort of. Because I think that Grace's consciousness was absorbed into the kind of interplanetary nervous system that they believe is their goddess, Awa. Which is why Grace is able to see and speak to Kiri whenever she plugs into the spirit tree.
Interesting.
And so I think it was an immaculate conception, which is appropriate. Hey, it's almost Christmas. Merry Christmas, guys.
Now, what would be interesting is if sorry, her name is Grace. Is that what you said?
Sigourney Weaver is Grace.
Okay. Yeah. If Grace was human pregnant and it just transferred to her avatar because it was trying to copy her biology in some way.
Yeah.
Be very interesting to me. Anyway, I thought that was neat. Look, I'm gonna just.
I think that would be very interesting. But that
I do want to say something before.
Would be a lot more interesting than this story. I agree. I think this is like maybe one of the least. I don't know. That's probably there are elements of this that are the most interesting thing you could possibly do in a movie.
Sure.
I just think there are elements that are incredibly weak.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's most offensive about lack of character development is the time. I think when there is so much time in this movie to do that.
And when you have 13 years to decide on it.
Yeah, and you don't. And then that's like, bummer. But James Cameron, the best characters ever in a James Cameron movie happened to be before they were the best movie stars in the world. It was like to have Kate Winslet and DiCaprio. It's like, they're going to just do this. Because otherwise, like the way that he represents Marines has never changed. James Cameron's, all his other characters are always one note.
Yeah.
Like it's always like,
no, that's true.
This is a caricature of X, right? And so I think when we get into a family dynamic, which outside of the Connors, which was already there, that's the interesting thing about James Cameron right now, is Avatar is his canon, right? Avatar is, we've talked about how successful he's been with a sequel, and even Titanic had the story written already.
Yeah.
But James Cameron, and I think that's a lot of the times too why Avatar can be a hard pill to swallow, is because everybody's in the dark a little bit, right? And there's also not canon development to the extent that people would do Star Wars. Because I know that came on the scene out of nowhere too. But it's just like, I don't even know what to work with.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Well, and I think maybe
it's risky as
I can't
heck.
think of another James Cameron movie with
also respect it.
The main cast of characters, like the protagonist being an ensemble. I can't think of a James Cameron movie with an ensemble protagonist cast. And I think maybe that's not his strength. So, okay, if it's okay if it pleases the court, I'd like to just lay my cards on the table with this movie. Obviously, I didn't care about this. I still kind of don't, but I did not before I went to go see it. I was definitely playing up how much I didn't care about it for fun. However, I genuinely didn't really care. I was not, when I heard the announcement about this, I felt nothing. I was just like, okay. So I went in with super low expectations. My expectations were exceeded. This is a fantastic popcorn movie. Like James Cameron can't miss when it comes to the popcorn movie. It is, I mean, gorgeous.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It is.
It's absolutely
the
unbelievable.
Music is fantastic. Sam Worthington. This world benefits so much from Sam Worthington also doing voice acting for most of his career. Like,
has he done that? I didn't see like many voice acting credits at all.
I don't mean he's done mostly voice acting. I mean, for most of his career, he has also dabbled in voice acting.
Gotcha.
He's done things like The Force Unleashed. He's done.
I'm seeing Call of Duty. No, that's Sam Witwer. That's not Sam Worthington.
Oh my gosh, it is Sam Witwer, isn't it?
I'm seeing the only voice acting I'm seeing is Call of Duty from Sam Worthington.
Well, that's the one that really drives it home for him, I think. Yeah, you're right. That is Sam Witwer, not Sam Worthington. Look, my point is Sam Worthington has the coolest voice in the whole world. And so in a movie where you don't get to see actual Sam Worthington, having a cool voiced Na'vi is a big deal. And I think that makes it awesome. I think that things like, I don't want to spoil all the stuff I think is cool or else we'll have nothing to talk about. There's a lot of cool stuff in this movie. I think it's really great. I think this movie is a success. I genuinely do. I enjoyed it. I will watch whatever Avatar comes out after this because he has piqued my interest again in a world that I barely had any interest in to begin with. So
that's good. They've already filmed Avatar 3. It filmed concurrently, same time as this one. And they've also reportedly already filmed the first act of Avatar 4. So whenever this was greenlit, it was greenlit for a 4-movie series. So it will go through Avatar 5. They've shot, obviously, all of Avatar 2. They've shot all of Avatar 3 and half of Avatar 4. The prevailing theory is there's probably a time jump that follows the kids into adulthood halfway through Avatar 4.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little exhausting looking down the road to me, being like, oh, that's a lot of them. They're going to premiere every 2 years until 2028, which
They're
means
all
they'll probably
be 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
and they'll probably all get delayed a bunch. So it'll be 10 years probably of Avatar.
Unless they go for every year release, which would be unbelievable.
No, they're currently shooting for every other year. The next one
Gotcha.
comes out in 2024.
There's a lot of post, I would imagine.
There's almost
Can't imagine
exclusively post.
Yeah. That's a thing to me that is so unique about the Avatar, we can say series now,
Yeah.
is I still remember when it was announced, like there's going to be 4 more. And I was just like, where?
Right.
Where is this coming
Who
from?
wants it? Who asked for it? Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is because there cannot be any clamoring outside of what you get on the screen. And
Yeah.
the fact that it feels like either we're out of the fan base. Like I have absolutely I have at least 8 degrees of separation from anybody who is writing their own fan lore about Pandora.
Right.
Right. But it's just like, but that doesn't stop James Cameron. I both respect it and are just like, it feels naive sometimes.
Yeah.
The way that he approaches things. But it's like isn't
almost
that
a little
what everyone
frustrating.
said about like Mozart? Like, what do you,
Right.
It's like, what do you,
Well, that is the back half of what I was saying is the front half is, look, this movie's a success. It's great. The back half is like, I still don't care. Even after watching it, I'm just like, cool, I guess. I don't know. It's a good movie, but
yeah. Has any single director done more for the movie business than James Cameron?
Spielberg and him.
George
I think.
Lucas.
Yeah, George Lucas.
But
he's among the elite.
Yeah.
Lucas is huge. Lucas, I think, and Lucas and Spielberg are 1 and 1B for pop culture.
Sure.
I'm talking about like making movies.
George Lucas, absolutely. The introduction of using visual effects, like computer effects in a movie in the 70s and 80s was unheard of. And The Phantom Menace was the first movie to ever, Attack of the Clones in 2000. They shot that in late 2000, early 2001, was the first movie to ever be shot digital. George Lucas was the first person to make a jump to shooting digital and to using virtual production.
Still, we're
shooting those
asking
all
the
on
question,
virtual stages.
Does James Cameron stand alone or with a couple other directors? You know what I mean?
Sure, exactly.
What we're asking is like, is
Is he
a
one of one or
singular-
one of 3?
Right.
Yeah.
It's also
he's a legend.
It's like George Lucas is the guy, like the superstar athlete whose career was 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like he came, he saw. But Cameron is the one sticking around, dude. And it's like in any kind of like greatest of all time conversation about what they've done for Hollywood, it's like, well, when one of them hasn't stopped.
Yeah, I would. I think I would put
It just
Lucas,
feels like every movie, James Cameron is still trying something brand new. It's like, I'm
Yes,
going to
I agree
invent
with that.
this.
And he's trying something that, next year we're going to see a water movie filmed with the technology that he used.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So Cameron invented, typically when you shoot underwater, everything's got a blue tint and you've got to shift it back towards orange in post-production to make it look normal. Cameron invented a new way of color processing to make sure that shooting underwater gives us very little lens distortion from the water and then very little color shift, and then used that to shoot the first ever underwater performance capture performances from his actors. They were in a tank wearing the performance capture suits, which had never been done before. And then he virtualized that camera technology and built a virtual camera to shoot in the rendered world of Pandora with the same technology he invented to shoot in the real world of Earth to animate on top of his
that's
motion
unreal.
capture performances. It's absolutely wild. I do think, though, I have to give the edge to, if we're comparing Lucas and Cameron, and maybe I'm the only one doing that, I have to give the edge to Lucas because I think at the end of the day, all this technology is cool. And the purpose of it is to tell good stories. And I think Lucas has the edge on Cameron in terms of like, and it is because Lucas followed that Joseph Campbell monomythic structure, like Hero with 1,000 Faces. This is a story on the scale of myth and fantasy epic. And so we're kind of using these templatized characters. But I mean, we're using Dances with Wolves as our templatized characters here. And the story just for me, the story just can't hang together. If I could super dub, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I do want to say before you do that, it's like watching this movie made me feel like Ryan Coogler watched it and was like, well, crap.
Yeah, exactly. I've bummed to everybody that the Water Tribe is so much cooler than Pelican from Black Panther.
I know.
I wouldn't even say so much cooler, but
it's just like
it is definitely
if they had the same.
I think that
it wouldn't make it easier to film it. It sounds like it would make it much more difficult and time consuming and expensive.
Yeah,
but
dude, I think that boat fight at the end of it, that fourth act is so much better than the fight over water in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
I agree. I just think because they live underwater in Black Panther and they don't in Avatar, it's like a little different of a comparison because they have a whole city, a whole world underwater in Black Panther. So
I'm just thinking of like kind of a tribal people riding their fish into battle against the big battleship. Like that did happen twice in the last 2.5 months.
Well, and James Cameron is always very good at his movies, even Titanic. When there is small amounts of action in Titanic, James Cameron is great at making sure that CG moments in his movies have physical weight to them as though they are real, which a lot of people do not. And I don't think that he's programming the CG for his own movies by any means, but
he is influencing the choreography of it and like the staging of the set pieces. And we talked about this in Titanic over the summer too, but like James Cameron, I think, is an absolute master of blocking and staging for these big action set pieces because it would have been really easy for that battle on the whaling boat to turn into kind of just big CG blobs and explosions, and it's just kind of visually busy. But it was at all times the stakes were clear and always changing in that sequence. That was really, really, really well directed.
He's also very good, I find, at narratively staging for these moments to be set up too. Like he is great at. It's like all of the setup to this final fight might not be a 10. And it might have taken too long, but he's going to make sure everybody is physically standing in the right spot and emotionally in the right spot before the final fight begins. And I respect that. I think that is a talent in and of itself. I will say, in regards to the stakes changing during the final boat fight, I wouldn't say that the stakes change so much as just it's a rotating cast of which kid is handcuffed to a railing. Which is a little lazy, but that's okay.
I thought it was
blockbustery too.
I liked it.
It's like,
it for sure is blockbuster. Again. But you got it. Like even when she says it, I can't remember what
when Took says it.
She's like,
baby.
How did I just get handcuffed again? And I'm sitting in my chair like, how did she just get handcuffed again?
It is nice when it's a touch aware of itself.
Yeah. So in James Cameron fashion, I teased my super dump what seems like 13 years ago.
It does seem a long time, yeah.
Are we ready? I filmed it and my super dump back to back, but I'm going to release the dump right now.
Let's do it then.
I think that Avatar movies and bad scripts go together like salt and pepper. I think the script for this, like there are moments in this that are absolutely incredible. And I think all the stuff with Kaipan, what's his name? The whale.
Oh, yeah.
He's a killer.
He's awesome.
Plo Koon.
Kaipan. What'd you say?
Plo Koon.
Oh, yeah, with Plo Koon, from Star Wars. That stuff's all awesome. And like, I think the interactions between the Sully kids and the kids of the Reef people are awesome. Like, there's not any one thing I can point to that I'm like, this should be cut. But I feel like almost everything should have been trimmed really, really heavily and like
would you say roughly 30 to 40 minutes?
Well, I don't know, man. Like, I think this is the right length for this movie, but the boat battle that we keep talking about absolutely should be the midpoint of this movie because like Jake's story through this movie doesn't make any sense. He starts the movie as an insurgent leader, basically leading little like strikes against the humans on the planet, which is awesome. And then he wakes up one morning and decides they're actually going to keep coming, so we have to go hide. And so they go hide. And then at the end he learns another time in the movie, and we actually need to stay and hide. And by the end of the movie, the status quo has just been reset to back where it was at the beginning of the movie. He says, you know what? I've learned I can't run away anymore. I've got to fight. And it's like, you already knew that. That's not that's not like, ultimately, I think the events of this movie and the broader story of this planet didn't change a single thing.
Agreed.
Absolutely nothing happened. We're back to where we were at the beginning of this movie. And so to me, that means the boat battle should have been the midpoint of this movie structurally. And we should have had that huge loss of Neteyam at the middle of the movie. And Jake says, I was wrong. We have to take the fight to them.
Yeah.
And then there's a final fight with Quaritch, who, by the way,
consequences.
Should not live at the end of this movie. Let him go, James Cameron. He's not a good villain.
He's not a good villain. He's so one.
We need a better villain, dude.
Yes.
Please.
But there's just so, like, the human presence on Pandora is, like, really everything with the humans is pretty stupid and bad. I think almost none of it's really explained.
Well, I understand
don't know what
James Cameron's logic. I think that he is hesitant to use a Na'vi villain because the whole point of Avatar is that the humans are the invaders and that they
military bad, tribes good.
Yeah, which is
absolutely.
I'm down for that messaging. But
sure.
Unfortunately, how much more interesting is a villain who is a Na'vi bent on getting rid of avatars because they are not native?
Yeah.
I was waiting for one of his kids who is a hybrid to just be over all of it and said, I'm just going to clean house. And I don't think we got any inoculation of like that possibly ever happening.
Right.
And so the fact that the villain stayed Quaritch,
Yeah.
I was just like, no, this isn't going to be it. Like it needs to be. That's also not as threatening, especially when you introduce another part of the planet that a lot of them didn't know about yet. Right. It's just like, oh, we're going to just keep escaping to another part of this Earth-sized, I don't know, planet.
The next one's going to be like Avatar, The Life of Lava, and they're just going to be in a volcano.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really cool to see a Na'vi society built into a volcano.
It's going to happen, and that's fine.
Lava.
I think it's going to be cool, but you know it's going to
There'll be an
tour of the
underground.
elements.
There'll be, I guess we already, with the Force people, we've already had like the Hallelujah mountain range.
Yeah.
So there is a sky, but
Yeah.
I
don't know,
It's
man.
just-
It's stuff like that where it's like, this is a very cool world. And it really feels like the reason this exists is because James Cameron was like, what if I could show a Na'vi bonding with a whale? Wouldn't that be cool?
That's 100% why this
What
exists.
if I
It was
could
just
do
like,
an
look at
Avatar
this.
version of them riding dolphins? That's cool. And it
is.
a fun-
Congratulations, James.
It's
It is
great.
cool.
James Cameron started his career as a matte painter, which means that like, so matte paintings are like before green screen, these were like rotoscoped, which means cut out into the background of movies. So like all of the Star Wars original trilogy, those backgrounds of planets and stuff is highly detailed matte paintings. And James Cameron started his career as a matte painter. And so like visuals first every time for James Cameron, which is why he's so excellent at those high stakes action sequences, even things, I'm thinking of things like the like smelting factory at the end of Terminator 2.
Right.
That's like one of the best staged, best choreographed action sequences I can think of. And it's not even all that fast paced, but he's just so good visually that I think it highlights how challenged he is from a storycraft perspective in terms of writing these scripts. He can direct. He's an excellent director. He's a much worse writer.
He doesn't. It is. So I love Disney World. I'm going back in like 40 days.
Have you been?
I have
been
lost
before?
count.
You've never been though, right?
I have been before.
Okay.
I
You've
have
never mentioned
There
it.
have been more scheduling issues with this podcast because I'm going to Disney World than anything to do with work.
That's true.
So
That's true.
Disney does this thing really well to where if they're catching you at the entrance of a queue waiting for the ride, they're going to have, especially for the newer rides, some kind of interactive story building experience
You're
before
in
you
the
get
world
to the ride.
before you get in the car. Yep.
James Cameron was meant to build the ride.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time with the queue.
Yep.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yep.
Like he's not, I think he can only feel if it's big and loud.
Yep. Yep.
It's like he's numb to, it's like that, I don't know. Is he the unhealthy dad of Hollywood? It's like in the moment, in the limelight, man, when we're going to the game, those are some of my best memories. It's like, but just being at home,
man.
It's kind of hard to talk to.
Yeah. let me sum it up in the only way that I know how, which is I'm going to super dump. And it is time for shout announcements, but I'm going to super dump now because there's enough good to talk about in this movie. I don't think I have to tell anybody why Avatar 2, The Way of Water, the way the water is. I don't think I have to tell anybody who loves movies that this is all spectacle.
Why it's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it is, make no mistake, really awesome.
It is really awesome.
So cool.
My super dump, though, is that when it's not awesome, this movie is so boring. Oh my gosh. Yes, it's great to look at. But when we are wading barely toes into some sort of story that is not Fight Quaritch, we are so afraid to do anything more than like, who's Kiri's dad? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. And then it's like, okay, great. And then it's like, what's going to happen to the family dynamic? Anyway, moving on. But we still spend so much time doing these things. And if we're going to show Kiri, you know, that nature responds to her, I don't think Avatar has shown me any hint that it's going to go supernatural. Everything on I can't think of the name of the planet all of a sudden for some reason.
Pandora?
Everything on Pandora seems to be following laws of nature. And so it seems to me that like
I think all of their
is responding to Kiri.
All of their spirituality is because, like Grace said, the planet itself is alive.
Right.
It has a central nervous system.
I don't think that Kiri has powers so much as I think she is just innately connected to the nature of this world. That's why the fish are following her. That's why she takes to the water.
Midichlorian count is
exactly
all-time high.
Which is the unification of like, it is supernatural with a natural cause. Like it is.
But I don't think she's about to like water bend or anything like that. I just think that nature likes her, you know?
Yeah.
Because her mom is like at the core of the planet.
Yes. Sometimes Cameron's worst enemy can be himself, because here's the thing. All of the slow moments are really expensive and pretty.
Yeah. Oh, it's for sure, dude.
He's doing an alternate reality to me. Like, I know that Pandora doesn't exist, but he's doing such a good job of kicking rocks in Pandora that I'm not appreciating it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's so good and it all looks so real that I'm like, why are we wasting time?
But I'm like,
they got this playing with light-up plankton.
They got this blue person to go play with these like weird alien fish, like, whatever.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's all made up. It's all invented.
I feel like it's like when you go over to somebody's house and their living room is like unbelievably cool looking and trendy and modern, and it's like, dang, this belongs in a magazine. And then you sit on the couch and you're like, oh, where do you hang out in this house? It cannot be this room. It cannot be this room. Where do you hang out?
That's
and to me, that is this movie to where it's like, when it is time to have the party in the living room and everybody gets to see how cool it is, it feels like the coolest house party you've ever been to. But when everybody leaves and it's just quiet moments hanging out, you're going to go to a different room because that it's just not comfortable. And I think that when this movie is not prioritizing spectacle, it really falls short. And that is sort of the ethos of my super dump, I think.
Yeah.
I wish it had prioritized the non-spectacle moments as equally as in terms of effort put into.
Same. Visually, it's the same effort.
Certainly.
If we take out, here's what's wild. If we take out Zoe Saldana's performance,
we lose about 8 seconds.
Yes, but with the moments that she has when she's grieving, when she's angry, when you take out the clear best actress in this entire movie, it's like, oof, like that would have accentuated the,
I agree.
Why are we not moving? What are we doing? And that's probably why we miss her so much.
Yeah.
It's like, I think, dude, she's killing it.
I think it's a combination of why are we still moving and why are we not moving at the same time at all times? Because we're just like, we give no space to grieve Niteam, the oldest son. No space at all for a moment like that. We give no real space to Kiri after, like she and Neytiri, I think, have like 1 or 2 conversations. We give no real space to what Jake tells us in the voiceover at the beginning of this movie. Neytiri always views Spider as a reminder of the sky people who came. He's an alien. She wants him to go back to his people, which is why I thought she was going to kill him at the end.
Yeah, I thought so too.
But we give no space to those kinds of meaningful interactions, and yet we're spending a ton of time moving in directions that are very cool visually and like only world building and not people building, I think.
Yeah. Is his governor the fact that he knows there's 3 more?
Yes,
because it's like,
I think so, absolutely.
Hey, if you want to, we knew Star Wars was a trilogy. George did, I think, after the second, at least after Empire.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, we can drop bombs now.
Sure,
like
exactly.
We can do crazy things are in. But it's like, I think it's not as dynamic as you would hope.
Well, that's why the So it was reported for a long time that the delay in Avatar 2 was because they were waiting for the tech to catch up. They wanted to do it. They just couldn't do the underwater performance capture stuff yet. Things had to be invented that hadn't been invented yet. One of the producers has since come out and refuted that claim and said, I think with Avatar 1, we really established that we can bend technology to our will. We can do whatever we want, given enough money and enough passion from the people involved. He said the thing that we were waiting on was making sure that we got these scripts all written at the same time. Because they all feature child characters, we have to shoot them at the same time so the kids aren't growing up 10 years in between every movie that's supposed to be 1 year apart.
Right.
So reportedly, they were waiting until scripts were, for example, for the Lord of the Rings trilogy that all filmed simultaneously, the script for Return of the King was not finished when we started production on The Fellowship of the Ring. We're still writing this as we go. That's not what they did with Avatar. They got everything to a fully final stage before they started with this. And so I think that's exactly right. I think the reason that he's like, I'm going to give you virtually nothing about any of these people, I'm just going to give you spectacle to get you back into it, is because he's banking on people going to the bathroom in the middle, number one, and number two, loving this so much that it becomes the third highest grossing movie of all time, and they can't wait for Avatar 3, where he's really going to dive into the people.
Where now he does get to promise, if they make enough on this movie, it's coming it can be on a calendar,
right?
Legitimately,
sure, right?
Because they filmed it.
Sure,
kind of a business move.
It is time for shout announcements, and I, for one, plan on talking about a lot of the very cool stuff from this movie after shout announcements because there's a lot of stuff I want to get into.
Yeah,
just wanted to get my critiques out of the way because I think it's important when it's somebody like James Cameron. I think it's important to make sure. This sounds so much harsher than I mean it to, that James Cameron doesn't get a free pass because he's James Cameron.
To come out here with a frankly pretty rough script.
Yeah, I would say it's a tough script. But there's still a lot to love about this, which we'll get into here in just a minute. But it is time now for Shout Out. Welcome to Shout Out. This part of the show where we give shout outs and make announcements. That's my
Stephen
Quaritch.
Lang?
That's my Quaritch.
Whoa. Thanks, Mater.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
It's like Quaritch. It's like to Quaritch without the tuh.
Oh my gosh. To all of you listening, Merry Christmas. I say Merry Mini every week, but this is the merriest. We love you guys. We're very thankful for the support of this podcast on all levels. On all those Patreon levels, the $3 tier, the $5 tier, we have begun conversations about what to do in 2023. And we can tell you there will be doing. We're not stopping.
There will be doing.
We don't really have conversations outside of jokes about when this will end. I can't see. COVID helped us a little bit in terms of we don't have to be in person. We can kind of just load this up.
Heard
and
it
do
here
anytime.
first.
It's not a
Two chunks and a hunk.
35-minute drive to record our podcast.
Yeah.
Two chunks and a hunk, big fans of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, as someone who doesn't even do any post-production work, it's really easy for me.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, this is an easy podcast to make. We have that $5 tier. We would love to have you be a part of that soon if you're intending to do that. I know that when the new year rolls around, there's some new things that you can add to your life. And we would love for you to get on that $5 tier of Patreon for multiple reasons. One of those being Box Office Ball Season 4 will start. It's going to be Box Office Ball, The Way of Water. It'll start early to mid-January when we'll jump into that. There's definitely some tweaks to be made. Those that are in the Patreon have let me know some things that work, some things that didn't. And so we're still building on that. Something else too, which I don't even know if Jordan's talked about, but it's going to be easy for me to create. We want to do something as the award season shows up over in Patreon. And we're going to call it the Chunkies. No, the Hunkies. That's what we're going to call it. But we want to poll our own Discord and have our own award show in terms of what do you think was the best thing that you saw in 2022. And then we'll announce the winners of that on one of our mini Monday episodes as we get ready for the Oscars and stuff. Because we feel like we know better. And we feel like you know better. And we want to hear from you.
If you couldn't tell from our 30-minute critique of James Cameron's writing process, we think we know better.
No. We're better at this. And then again, remember, on that $3 tier, you do get the extra episodes. Jordan and Doge did record their Geely episode.
I believe it's out already. I think it's already released. I think it's in your feed for you if you're a subscriber.
And I joined them. I came back. And I said, I'll just be here listening about it. Spoiler, it's still a bad movie.
Still a bad movie.
It's still the worst.
I'll say this about Avatar.
The worst movie.
Avatar smokes Geely.
Avatar 2 is way better than Geely, actually.
So much better. Not even on the same scale. But yeah, we love you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2023.
Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
So the killer whales with the intelligence of more than a person might be the coolest creature introduction in any
The
movie
Tulkuns
ever.
Yeah. The Tulkun are super cool.
Like
We see them at the end of Flight of Passage at Disney World. That's like one of the last
Oh,
things.
really?
Really?
So Flight of Passage, yes. Flight of Passage is you jump. What are the flying creatures called?
Called Ekrens.
Ekrin. So you get turned into an avatar, first of all. Like you watch a screen or whatever, and it does this big and like turns you into an avatar so that you can bond with the Ekrin. And you get on this. It's all like virtual reality type gig.
So is the movie.
But you get on an Ekrin and it like locks you in, but you can like feel it breathing
Cool.
and like flying and stuff and go through this. I mean, the screen is obviously massive, smells, feelings, all that kind of stuff. But then at the end, there's Tulkun,
Yeah.
like leaping over you.
He wrote Lord of the Rungs.
And you feel like the mist and stuff. It's amazing.
You didn't hear my good joke. I said a good joke, but it was crosstalk.
What did you say? The Runs?
I said he wrote Lord of the Rungs. Tulkun.
Oh, Tulkun wrote Lord of the Rungs. Lorix of the Rungs. They're awesome.
So does that mean that we've known about these guys for longer than this movie?
James Cameron has.
We've known that these creatures existed.
Why
Yeah.
did nobody tell me?
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, I imagine if in the ride, if they're just like jumping out of the water or something, you don't know what their whole
sure.
deal
Yeah.
is.
The way
And hey,
it fights back against the poacher at the end by blocking the
my
harpoon
gosh.
with its big forehead and then
It's so
cutting
cool.
his arm off with the, I mean,
Freaking, yeah, Nemo the Rock Johnson showed up and destroyed everybody.
It is so sick.
It is so sick. And that's when it worked. There were parts where what Cameron does, it's man, talking about Cameron and George Lucas in the same sentence is weird. And it's like, I got to make sure I'm being appropriate in comparing the two because it's like an entire culture could come and look for you. But it's like introducing things like giving captions to a whale.
Yeah,
Of him talking.
a little silly, but it works.
But it's
Yeah, it
fine,
works
right?
completely.
That's
Yeah.
Star Wars. That's Star Wars
Yeah.
feelings. Is like when you create that kind of world that I'm cool with it, man.
Yeah, no
that means
problem
You're doing
at
a
all.
good job.
When people are just like, yeah, I understand
So when
Chewbacca, and he
yeah.
makes the same noise every time. Like that's not a different word than you just
When
said.
I see in bright papyrus script that it's too painful to share, I'm not guffawing that a
Yeah.
whale's talking back to
Right.
someone speaking sign.
because in a
water
movie
language.
like this,
You know,
when we
it's
hear
like,
somebody
I
be
don't
like,
care.
their intelligence might actually be greater than that of Na'vi and human, I'm like, okay, sounds good.
yeah.
So
because
just
we
to-
know that elephants are that way.
Exactly. So just to track that for a second, what is funding the human operations on Na'vi is selling the juice from the brains of the Tulkun that is a one sentence line.
Yeah.
Stops human aging completely. And we say that and we throw it away. Like, you don't need to know more about that.
Yeah.
And the price
That's to keep Quaritch alive for all 5.
Exactly. That's the only reason. The price per vial is 80 million?
That is not enough.
That is
my
not-
God.
I thought it'd be way higher.
That would be
that is
dude,
low.
that's not even enough to make. That's not even enough to make Avatar: The Way of Water. Like James Cameron just told us he had to slay armies of whales to even make half of this movie.
That is low. And it might not be dollars. They didn't say
80
dollars. He
million?
said the price of this baby goes for about 80 million. So it could be 80 million
Euros,
trillion
maybe.
dollars. Yeah.
80 million trillion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I love
that's
them.
silly, man. Like that, like selling the brain juice that stops human aging is what's funding everything on Pandora, which the mission on Pandora, Quaritch's mission is supposed to be exterminate the natives so that we can terraform the planet. And it turns into a very personal, let me track Jake Sully halfway across this globe.
Yeah, I think Avatar is the most creative IP that James Cameron has ever done.
I would agree with that.
But he's still not, to me, super creative. Because it's like, it felt
the
like...
mineral in the first one was called unobtainium. We're never going to review Avatar, so we can't talk about how absolutely bafflingly stupid that is.
Yeah.
Clearly, it feels like, not even heavy-handed. It's like killing this beautiful creature just for its brain juice is basically saying like ivory. It's like killing an elephant just for its tusks. So then then don't make it such a big thing. You don't have to make it canon and like part of the plot. Yeah. Just, we already know that these people
we know this is happening.
Are bad.
Yeah.
Because you've blatantly made, especially all military.
Yeah.
Bad,
I think it's even better if that's just a throwaway expense. If the military is funding that stuff and the funding is coming from Earth and the throwaway expense is like, hey, whoever's in charge of the military here, their favorite food is this tiny little gland that grows at the back of the tongue. So we kill these to serve them this little steak. Sure. And it's like, that's way more like interesting and clearly wasteful and villainously poachy.
Yeah. I think in terms of like world building, that's pretty simple and clearly trying to say something culturally. I think Hunger Games is more creative than Avatar.
I think that's
It's another thing that it's just like, I can tell what you're doing, but okay. You know, it's like, I dig it. Here's what I don't dig though. I think it is confirmation of my super dump, and James Cameron would be very disappointed to find out that it took an hour before we brought up Spider. Yeah. I think he's supposed to be a big part. He is one of the Infinity Stones of the script of Avatar, and it's bad.
My dude's story carries weight.
Because it's a recycle again. James Cameron continues to just do, if he can't manifest it himself, he pulls from something else. This is Sam Huntington. Do you know who that is? I looked this up because of Spider. Sam Huntington is the kid from Tim Allen's Jungle to Jungle in 1997. It is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be like, oh, that's just Pocahontas. And it's like, okay, if you're too ignorant to enjoy a ride, you can live on that
that's
argument.
Fine. Exactly. Many roller coasters are the same.
Love what you love, hate what you hate. Yeah, exactly. But we do things like this. And I'm like, I was like, for a while, it was like, oh, they've just got the wrong actor. No. It's the script. There's not anybody that's going to replace this guy, wear a loincloth, and look like an evil twin from Matrix 3. And it's like, it is so sad because if he's supposed to be this, like, he's going to walk the line between good and evil. Man, it's really I'm afraid that in the end, in Avatar 5, the person who has to make the difference is going to be, he's going to try and do Vader throwing Sidious into the abyss. It's like, oh, the guy who went bad.
So are you
now
thinking
he's good again, but now he's going bad?
Are you thinking Spider went bad? Like Spider saved his dad Quaritch and they're going to take out Jake together or something?
I think it will happen like that. I think Spider is going to be one of the biggest plot movers of this entire series.
That part
I agree with. I don't think that he went bad. I think he saved his dad.
Not yet.
His dad is going to...
But they gave us tastes.
No way. Quaritch is going to switch sides like halfway through the next movie.
I'm sorry, dude. Spider is going to disappoint us for the rest of this series. He's going to... I think James Cameron is going to give Spider way too much responsibility to what happens to everybody else.
Dude, honestly, if there's a big time jump, I could actually see a world where... I don't think it's in this script. I don't think the hints of this are in this script very much, but I could see a world where Spider's story turns to one of like Spider is the quote unquote like Pandora native person leading a charge against the Na'vi because he kind of is like
I think in Avatar 4
their world
we're going to in Avatar 4 Revenge of the Waves, we're going to have Kiri and Spider are going to fight.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Which is why they're teasing
Spider with the power
teasing a romantic connection between them.
Yeah, dude. Spider with the power of the military and her with the power of all of Pandora are going to fight each other. And I'm going to sit there being like, why is he so responsible? He's the Hayden Christensen of Avatar. Why are you so responsible?
Fine. I thought he was fine.
I did not think he was fine. I think he...
And I'm not just saying the actor. This is different. Spider as a whole.
I'm talking character, not...
I think the most egregious thing about Spider is that, like,
babies can't go into cryo sleep, It's just like, he's so stupid. We'll obviously have to bleep that out. But I was like... We decommed in the middle of Avatar.
So that's it. I think like with the fact that he's like Quaritch's secret kid and Kiri is Grace's Avatar's secret kid, like so much of this felt like the preteen kid-focused Star Wars books that I read in like middle school, where it was like, this is a air quotes official continuation of the movie that you love. And it's like, this is just a weird way to do it. And I don't know. I feel like we've been super negative. I think the rest of the kids were actually awesome. Like the child performances in this, plus Sigourney Weaver being a 60-year-old child, was really awesome. I think the decision to have Sigourney Weaver play the role of Kiri is one that I will never understand and probably never get behind.
I'm fine with
I thought it was incredibly strange. It did not work at all.
If she looks like her, that's cool.
Didn't bother me.
Did not work.
She can have a different voice, much like children.
Exactly.
Of the world.
Right. Well, like Loak looked
much like children of the world.
Loak looked so much like
if my
Jake
dad
Sully.
voiced me, it's odd.
Sure.
Loak looked so much like Jake, but it was not Sam Worthington voicing him because he's a kid. Like,
can you imagine?
Exactly. I was like
freaking Baston walking up in
Here's
here.
Here's the thing. I'm only just now putting this together, but this movie is so clear to me now. It has become crystallized in my mind because we spend the first almost hour. So we're almost an hour in by the time we get to the water tribe. And it is because
the Metcaina, the water
this
people.
movie, and I can't believe I'm just now putting this together. This movie is basically a 3-hour retcon so that they can continue this world. That's all this movie really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first hour of this movie are going, okay, we didn't really wrap up all these loose ends with the first stories.
Yeah, the people are gone, but we can't make more if the people are gone. So the people came back.
The people came back.
Absolutely.
And Quaritch is back because we shouldn't have killed him because we got this other story for him to do. And also here's Spider, here's these other kids, but we have to get him to the water. So let's do something else to get him to the water because we didn't set that up in the last movie.
I think it's that stuff that reminds me so much of the bad Star Wars EU sequels to the original trilogy. Because the good ones are like the Thrawn trilogy, which introduces a new villain. The stakes are different, but they're familiar to us. But the bad ones introduce a clone of the Emperor and his son Triclops. And it's like, this is just absolutely, completely strange. And it's an excuse to write the same story again. And just put different clothes on it.
But even with the kids and so much focus on the kids and Spider and all that stuff, it's because that's the story we're telling now for the next 4 movies.
Exactly.
Sam Worthington, Jake Sully is about to be irrelevant to the story, I think. So is
Jake Sully is about to die in the next one.
Yeah, probably.
Guarantee.
Probably. And it's because this is going to be about his kids more than him, which is fine, but it clearly was not planned. And so this whole movie is basically just a 3-hour
Because that's the weird thing. Is like, this feels like if you're going to do, like, I'm interested in what happens with the kids. Absolutely.
I am too.
And there's not, like, I'm interested in what happens after this story, but I don't know of a good way to condense this story to be like the first act of the real story that he wants to tell, or to be like like maybe this should have been a novel and then we start the stories that he wants to tell and gloss over that time. I just don't know. This felt very much like we're like taking time to just turn our chair a little bit so that now we're facing the right direction to tell the story we want to tell.
100%. This movie was a course correction so that the next 3 movies can tell the story that he wants to tell. And I think,
don't get me wrong, I feel like we've been super critical. It is a incredible course correction. Like, it is an absolute blast.
Here's what I would say. It's Avatar 1 all over again. It's my exact same complaints from Avatar 1. This movie is all style, no substance. All style. And the style is top notch, the best there's ever been. It's the best looking, mostly CG movie of all time. It looks incredible. It's thrilling. Even when it's boring, it's gorgeous. So you can get through it. It's not a slog by any means.
Oh, it's a blast.
It's not like I was like, when is this movie going to end? This is a blast, and I'm glad I watched it. This is the one and only time I will watch this. You know, like that's That's how I felt about the first Avatar. I haven't watched the first Avatar since I saw it in theaters. Like, I've never once, not even for 1 second, have I thought, I should watch Avatar. Because I shouldn't. I already saw it. I did it. I'm good. That's what these movies are. Once you've seen the cool moment, you've seen it. There's nothing to unpack here.
I think we gloss over the things that could have been something to unpack. I think we really,
I agree.
Our script writers were really proud of the Way of Water monologue. It's your home before you're born. It's your home after you die. We get that speech twice in the movie, and I think.
By the way, that doesn't make. They never address that.
It doesn't really mean anything.
They drop the body in the water.
Yeah, it could have been. I think we could have unpacked that. I think they were really proud of A Son for a Son because we get a 3-beat of that, and like I think we could have unpacked that more. I think there is. We gloss over the things that could have made this something other than a theme park ride, so that we can get to the next big loop on the roller coaster, which is, I mean, that's what blockbusters are. That's what happens. So, like, I that's an unfair criticism, an unfair disqualifier for this movie, I think, to say that.
Is that what blockbusters are, though?
I think it's what they have been. I don't think it's what they have to be.
Sure.
Yeah. My worry is Avatar will be more Transformers.
Yeah.
Than
100%.
Or it'll be more Jurassic Park.
Then Mad Max, Fury Road.
Sure.
Yeah, because Mad Max is a perfect example of a blockbuster that is all style, virtually no substance, but it attacks
it.
Doesn't
try to be substance.
Bingo. That's the big difference, right? Is I think here, this movie wants you to go, I can't wait for the next one so I can find out ... And the answer is like, I don't know. Yeah. And by the way, the moment where Jake panics about breathing in the boat so that the youngest son can like compel him to do it right. That's a great scene.
That's awesome.
But at what point have we ever set up that Jake is the type to panic in any situation ever?
I think he wasn't panicking so much as just like, I can't do it. I'm done. Like, you have to save yourself. He was dying.
When have we seen give up in Jake then, is my point. Like that moment.
When have we seen any, here's the thing though, when have we seen any defining characteristic in Jake?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I guess I'm just saying like, it's a great scene. It really is a great scene. It's very compelling, but I found myself taken out of it a little bit because it's like, dude, I mean, you're right there. You know how to swim. Just take the breath and follow him. Like, I've been swimming with him the whole movie. I thought that their little scuba fish that give breath underwater, I thought that they would give that a little bit more. Just for Kiri, who was already the best swimmer of the family anyway.
She could have angel wings. Yeah. I don't know. It's visually the most creative thing I've ever seen. And I think we're beating the dead horse a little bit of like visually Avatar and the world of Avatar and the movies of Avatar are the most creative thing in the world. The scripts are not the strength of this now franchise. Which
would be fine and wouldn't be a problem, except for it clearly wants to hook us with what comes next story-wise and not...
I mean, I'm hooked though. It worked.
I'm not hooked story-wise at all. I'm just going to watch the next one because it's Avatar and it'll be cool. I'm saying they're not selling the thing that I'm buying with this movie. If they want to hook me for a sequel, tease the next location, tease the next big visual thing that I get to be excited about. That's what's exciting about Avatar. If you wanted to be like, soon we're going to have to take the fight to the lava pits, or soon we're going to have to burrow under the ground and go into the mines. Like,
instead the ending was Jake being like, I'm going to leave. And the chief says, don't. And he says, okay, I won't.
Okay, I won't. Yeah, exactly. That's my point is like they're trying to hook us with something that I was never sold on to begin with, which is story beats.
That's a good point.
Hook me with the cool stuff.
I think it might help that Cameron didn't go super far a different direction in the second Avatar. Because if the third one is like my favorite so far, like he's got a chance.
Sure.
Here's the middle. Sure. Here's the middle of 5 holding both pillars. It's like, if you can get this at a 7.
Yeah.
Script wise, like, and narratively, then we're good. Like if you get it to here, we're set. Like I've spent a lot of time, I've been quiet a little bit for 2 reasons. One, why did Jermaine Clement try and talk in an English accent?
Thank you.
When the other guy was clearly Australian. Do they want to be like, hey, we don't want to paint a picture like Australians are whale hunters? It doesn't matter. Nobody's going to think that.
I wonder if that was New Zealand, but yes, I agree.
I wonder if that was his idea of just like, hey,
the continent.
You be the one with the accent, and I'll speak in an American accent. I wonder if he was just like
very funny.
If he was just like, hey, James Cameron, can we do this? Because that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
There's 2 big new acting credits that we get for Avatar 3. I caught
Avatar 3
about
the next one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're adding Michelle Yeoh is going to be in Avatar.
Fine.
Unfortunately, she's a human, but maybe that's going to help on our human side.
Maybe she'll have an avatar,
We do need
though.
some more. She could have an avatar. Then also, I think we're going to get, legitimately, I'm calling my shot now in 2022. Not since Feliz Navidad have we called a shot so well.
We know Candace Cameron listens. Maybe James Cameron listens as well.
Maybe Uncle James listens too. So we know that David Thewlis is going to be in Avatar 3.
cool.
And from what I've heard, he's credited through 5.
Credited
His
through
name's
5.
Pilak, which sounds evil.
That does sound evil.
That does sound evil.
I think here's what's could be great. It's still going to be recycled from other things. What if we find out the Na'vi aren't necessarily the indigenous peoples of Pandora?
That would be sick.
And Pilak comes in as one of the last ancient, like the Mayan Aztec vibe of like, hey, we were here first. Everybody's wrong. You're wrong. Humans wrong. Let's burn it all to the ground. And he's just like ready to whatever our cavernous region that the people of Pandora didn't know about.
The mines.
Here comes the Pilak
The
as the leader
planet
of
core.
the underworld. We need to. That's the big thing. Is like maybe that checks our box for
A better
There needs
villain.
to be an evil avatar,
An evil
There needs to
alien.
be an evil Na'vi.
The villain
Yes,
needs to be an
100%.
evil alien. Yes.
Yes.
By the way, just while we're talking about alien life, James Cameron, I'm calling you out. You're a coward. Why wasn't there something so big
Yeah.
in the ocean?
Instead of just the Tulkun was the biggest thing.
I'm saying we're waiting, bro.
That's the thing.
That's
Every
like
every card is pressed against the chest.
James, tease me though. That's why you watch. I don't care about Kiri's lineage.
There's always a bigger fish.
Don't give me teasers of things that you don't even do a good job with. Show me the spines of a sea serpent the size of a dune worm. Show me the mouth of something so big that I pee my pants in the theater. Like, you're in the ocean, you're James Cameron, and don't get me wrong, the Tulkun are awesome. But those are like whales. I have
They're like
whales.
orca. They're not
I
even
have
whales.
whales.
They're orca. Yeah.
I got whales. I know whales. Show me something I don't know.
Yeah. I think whereas our water people, what was that tribe called?
the Metkayana.
The Metkayana, whereas they're kind of like this aqua. I think it's cool that we
think so
distinguish
too. I like
between
that.
them
Sure.
and the forest
Different
people.
tongues of
I think
fins on their
Pilak
arms.
is gonna lead a borderline like pale white underground.
Very sick.
Doesn't see the sun much.
Excellent.
Big eyes.
Big eyes.
Because Na'vi have notoriously small eyeballs.
Well, I just mean like
bigger.
think like
Yeah.
anglerfish, how they have the big white eyes because they're so down
Yeah.
underneath, But yeah, I don't know.
What's really going to happen though?
Deep. They've got all the big creatures.
What's really going to happen though is that the villain's going to keep being military people, and then in the next movie, Stephen Lang's going to switch sides, and then they're going to be a new villain, and every movie a villain will get introduced, they'll switch sides in the next movie, and it's going to be Fast and Furious.
Yeah, sure, probably.
Yes.
Did Edie Falco's character die, or is she still around?
I don't know, but she
still around.
drank
She's in the
coffee
next
out of her
one.
mech suit, which was cool.
That
thought
was
those
dope.
Her
mech
mech
suits
was
were
holding the
gonna
coffee
be
cup.
More involved.
Listen.
Those were sick.
JC, my guy, James Cameron.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jesus.
No, John Carter. If you like to bring in all of your Infinity Stones of all your past work, we got Kate Winslet, we got Sigourney Weaver.
Do it.
Bro, we're waiting for Arnie.
Yeah.
Give me Arnie as a Na'vi. That would be absolutely amazing. Please, Jake.
What's Sarah Connor doing right now? She could be a military villain.
She could be a military villain. Bring him.
Have you guys
I'll
seen?
I haven't super pumped yet. I can super pump if we need me
haven't?
to do that. No.
Oh, goodness,
You
do it then.
you can say what you were going to say though.
Well, I was just gonna say, have you guys watched the trailer for 65 yet?
Yes.
That movie conceptually is so stupid. And that trailer is the coolest thing I've ever
It's
seen.
pretty cool.
And I cannot wait for it.
I'm so down.
I think that James Cameron should take a lesson from the movies that are afraid to just, or that aren't afraid to just be what they are.
Are you telling James Cameron to be more like the Fast and Furious
Dude,
series?
maybe a little weirdly. and by that, I just mean like, it's okay if Avatar is just spectacle, but I'm going to ask for more. I actually found myself disappointed at how much of the spectacle in this movie was just how cool the world worked and not something cool happening.
Yeah. There is so much influence on, sounds so obvious, like our main faces, like the people involved. The fact that 65 feels more ridiculous is because Adam Driver is at the helm.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that things like Avatar, I don't know. I think it's because it's James Cameron. If Michael Bay made Avatar,
Yeah.
everybody's like,
I get it.
I wouldn't have
This
even
is the
seen it.
best.
you're fully excused. Though.
If it was
the thing is like,
yeah, we'd be like, this is like the best, one of the best movies I've ever seen, and it's from Michael Bay. I think we were holding Cameron
like,
to a
dude,
higher
Mike-
standard.
I don't.
either maybe not one of the best ever, but it is like Michael Bay has a lane too, right? He's like,
Yeah.
I'm only going to be this way. But it is James Cameron, and he did it to himself because he came in and he worked with other people's IP and made arguably better versions of it, of like the heavy hitters.
I just think
And I
the
think
only
that's why
way-
he's so obsessed with this world, is because this
Yes,
is
it's
his
him.
legacy. And he can't be the guy who comes and does a better Terminator or a better Alien. He has to be the guy who does his own thing.
all the pieces of his past are there because he's still like, hey, by the way, do you remember mech suits? Do you remember sinking boats?
Yes.
Do you remember? Like, he's still doing all the same things.
He said, now I'll get to show you how I do it my way. And his way is like a little worse than doing it everybody else's way.
I just think, and I think maybe you're right. Maybe we are holding James Cameron to a slightly higher standard, because if this was a no-name director, yeah, we would be sitting and marveling at who is this dude? I can't wait to see what he does. But ultimately, this, and Doja, I want you to super pump in just a second, and then we got to rate this movie.
It's going to be a single sentence.
But this movie falls to the exact same problem the first movie had, which is Avatar as a franchise is nothing more than a tech demo for the new inventions that James Cameron has.
Exactly.
That's all it is. That's all it is. And that's why I didn't care for the first Avatar beyond my first watch. It's why I will never watch this again, because I saw it. And that's all there is to do with this movie is see it. There's nothing else to do beyond watch this, you know?
To go back to the beginning of our episode, I think that's what gives Lucas the edge, is because Cameron is aping the George Lucas methodology of like, let's invent a new technology and then make a movie with that technology. I just think the difference is that Lucas's movies, people remember them and care about them.
Yeah.
I think like the original trilogy of Star Wars was as much a tech demo as anything else. The prequel trilogy was certainly just tech demos of virtual production and CG characters and all that stuff. But people remember them and care about them because the story is also prioritized. But that leads me to my super pump is the visuals of this movie. This is the most gorgeous movie I've ever seen. It's the best CG I've ever seen. It's the best in the world. You don't need me to tell you that. You've seen the trailer. You know about Avatar. It's unbelievable looking.
Yep. James Cameron is a world builder. He is not a character builder.
Yep.
I would say James Cameron is a literal world builder, not so much a story world builder.
Sure.
Well, that's
I know. I'm just saying, like, he created, you know what? James Cameron is terrible at world building, great at planet building.
Yeah. He creates an environment that a cool story can happen in.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
He inherited T-800. He inherited Ripley. Like, he's like not creating these iconic characters. When he does one that's cool, though, that person has no lines. When he had like T-1000,
Yeah.
it just looked amazing, and we'd never seen it before.
All it had to do was look amazing.
That's all it had to do,
Yep.
and run like an absolute maniac.
Yep.
And that was it.
Yep.
Well, I guess it's time to rate Avatar: The Way of Water using the scientific cinema scale, which is perfect, and as follows. The best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't lend it, buy
that poster.
The next best thing is buy it, followed by rent it, and then stream it. After that is forget it, and last but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say about a movie.
God hath forsaken us.
The best thing that could happen for James Cameron to keep making these movies is if everybody bought it. Is if everybody actually, you need to, like, he needs to economically make the money. For the scientific cinema scale, I'm a rent on Avatar 2.
Okay.
Because I wasn't given enough. I think we've kind of talked about how, so there's 3 more, and where did we go? You introduced us to the family, but outside of an introduction, that's kind of all I know about them. So I am just going to rent it. I will say, though, James Cameron, you are one of the best things to happen to this podcast. James Cameron is such an interesting conversation. And the fact that this man is not gone from high blood pressure, and I imagine he sleeps. He feels so incredibly genius and narcissistic that I can't look away. I think the fact that he walked in and said there's going to be 5 when all you've done is make 1, and he is so proud that he'll re-release until he is number 1, 2, and 3 of all time. Man, the chutzpah. You've got things that I will never, there's a part of you that I will never have about your spirit, and I am here to watch whatever you do. But you are not top 10 on a lot of things that people of your job do. But boy, you're really good at some of it. So yeah, it's a rent. It's a high rent. But yeah, Way of Water, can't even believe it happened. And it didn't bomb.
Yeah, it's a rent for me as well. I think that, dude, same song, second verse, right? It's the same. It is just the same. If you liked Avatar, you'll like this. If you didn't care for Avatar, you probably won't care for this. And if you felt fine about Avatar, then guess what? You're going to feel fine about this. This is a 3-hour and 12-minute tech demo. It's beautiful. There's nothing to latch onto. There's nothing to sink your teeth into beyond pretty stuff. This is a 1-inch cake with 6 inches of frosting on top. And that's cool. It's awesome.
Yeah. That's like your favorite.
It's a great way to kill 3 hours. It genuinely is. And just because I'm renting it, I think you should see this in the theaters. If you're if you're only going to watch this movie one time, make sure that one time is in a theater. It is a spectacle. It is a sight to behold, and that is about all it is. It's a rent.
I remember seeing a couple of weeks ago, maybe months ago at this point, an image that was a pull quote attributed to James Cameron, where he said, critics of Avatar, the first one, will shut the expletive up once they see Avatar 2.
Nope. Same movie.
Ooh. I think he's right, because they'll go, oh, okay, well, I was right then. I don't have to keep saying the same thing.
Keep saying it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, why waste
he
more?
He just proved my point. And like, honestly, his attitude about Avatar almost pushed this down to a stream for me, but it is a rent.
Yeah, he's kind of being a real dinkhole about the whole thing.
He's being a real dingus about this thing. And you know, like, be proud of what you make, James, but like, understand what it is. This is the best looking movie I've ever seen.
He's the same.
This is the best looking movie I've ever seen. It is the biggest, loudest, most bombastic thing I've seen in a theater in a very long time.
Yeah.
It was so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you walk away and you're not thinking about the story. You're thinking about how cool the whale looked, or, you know, how cool this fish looked, or that fish looked, or how cool when the whaler's arm got cut off was. And it's has a shorter shelf life than I think Cameron is hoping it does.
Well, and we talk a lot about with Marvel movies how cool a big moment is, but the difference is, even in a Marvel movie, they tend to put emotional weight behind the fights, which the very, very end finally had some with the kids, but not, if I'm being honest, that much for me. Like,
yeah,
I knew a kid was going to die. I was already ready for it. And then let's punch about it. That's the end. Like,
yeah. It just emotionally, I think the heart of the movie sort of fell flat.
100%.
Yeah. The biggest hope I have in Avatar is kind of ironic, because James Cameron is known for coming in after Ridley Scott, like coming in after like somebody completely different and doing his own thing. Maybe the best thing about Avatar is that James Cameron will never let it go. It's not going to be directed by multiple people. You're not going to have to go through the total change of vibe here, because we've got a new director. It's like, man, this wasn't Rian Johnson's place. In a nutshell, he's phenomenal. He shouldn't have been here. We shouldn't have gone back and gotten somebody different.
Yeah.
Oh, JJ's back now. You know, it's like we don't have to worry about that, because James Cameron is far too proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he would take it with him.
Did you guys go to the bathroom in this movie?
Yeah.
Did you? I did not. I know James Cameron specifically requested it, which is maybe why I'm cool. Maybe why I'm a little cooler on this than he would have hoped.
I peed right before the whaler ship was.
Ooh, risky boy.
No. Before the military people got on board it to tell them what their job was about to be. There was a nice little quiet scene change, and I just pew pew, Sonic the Hedgehog sprinted to the bathroom. Yep. I only missed about 90
all of
seconds.
The little. There's designs for the crab robot.
Everything around. Sick.
Everything
the
is cool.
Sub robot.
Everything is so cool.
If you look at it, it's awesome.
The snake shark was terrifying.
Yeah. That
give me more.
Swam up out of the water.
As far as I'm concerned,
that's so cool.
if it's bigger than like a fish you could keep in a tank in your house, there's 2 types of fish in that ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the snake sharks and then the tulkun.
That's it. Boo.
I do think it was very cool when Jake Sully jumped his snake shark up and bit Quaritch's ikran on the
I'm
neck.
not calling that is amazing.
Unbelievably
I'm
cool.
not calling that the snake
What's
shark.
the snake
I'm
shark?
talking the one that had
That's the one I'm
fangs.
talking about.
Oh,
the thing
yeah,
that
that was
tried
scary.
to kill the sun.
That was scary.
That was
That was
a lot.
V scare.
It was stressful.
Anyway, that's Avatar, The Way of Water. And if you're like, sounds a lot like the first Avatar, you'd be right.
what?
You'd be right. So whatever you think
There it
about that
is.
first one's probably what you're going to think about the second one too. TBH.
There it is.
We'll see you guys in 2023.
Coming at you with a little Mr. E.
Hmm.
He returns to exact his revenge on the Pod Boys.
Interesting. Wow. To end today's
Quite interesting.
episode, I'd like for each of us to say our name and what biome we would like to see James visit next in the Avatar universe. Lava's
that's
off
like
the
an
table. We've already talked about it
environment-
enough.
No lava.
Environment world. That's an environment world.
Can't do lava, can't do caves.
Can't do lava, can't do caves. Very interesting. Okay, that's easy.
I'm ready. I'm in.
It's creeks.
This
It's
is
a
what it
creek.
sucks to be last, dude. It's like, hey, only 5 of these exist. Carter, you'll get the 6th one. Great.
For 2 chunks and a hunk, my name is Jordan. Wonders. And desert, dude. I would love to see some like desert.
Oh,
Some desert.
What does a
people.
6-legged camel look like?
Yeah, like give me some dune on Pandora. That's what I want.
I'm Doge. It is obviously snow.
Ooh, yeah.
Like some Inuit type of folk, but it could be salt even if it's not snow.
Yeah, sure. Just a
like
white,
some sort
just
of
a
like
white location.
some sort of tundra environment. Yeah.
Give me some sort of like abominable snowman type thing.
Yeah, maybe they could be in snow, and then the military could have these big, huge walkers that look like tall elephants, and they can like drag cables from
Tie
behind
up
their
their legs a
dragons and
little
wrap
bit.
their legs.
Yeah. That's clever. I'm Carter, and take me to the mountains.
Yeah, dude.
Cool.
Let's go to the mountains. That's where we're gonna find Palak. That's where Thulis will be.
I want to see like a scene where they crest a hill, and they're like, "Where is it?" There's supposed to be a village here, and they go through and they can't find it, and then all of these like gray Na'vi step around the corners, and then they realize that they've been surrounded for like the last hour that they've been walking, and then they have to learn how to blend, and then that's how they fight.
They change their skin like a chameleon.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, amazing, dude.
Who needs James Cameron? I don't even have to think of a good story. He doesn't either.
James
I'll just think of something
who?
cool
We
and we'll do
definitely
it.
need to introduce a Na'vi that is the most ancient of all of them and is closer to Keeley than everyone else. Of like, we are even better. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see you next year.